I guess you know it's week 10 and it's about time to go get into it. Now, there's going to be one game I'll have to do tomorrow. It'll be the Rams in Miami, and I really don't care. But I think the Rams should win. But if they don't, it's because of Aaron Ways. They should win. But anyway, that'll be tomorrow, God willing. Let's get into week 10, shall we, so far? We're going to start off with Baltimore beating Cincinnati. Wild ending. Baltimore loves those wild endings, don't they? They start the season off like that with KC. Joe Burrow can't play any cooler than he is. He is Joe Marlboro. He is the coolest cat. He's cool, Brady cool, Montana cool, like the God's grandson of Montana. Except they just don't have the chips. And that's what we might miss about Joe Burrow's career. Guy got poise, cool as cool, threw 4 touchdowns. Chase was wide, just tearing up Baltimore second. What happened to Avery? Where Ray Lewis at? Where the Ravens defense, Harbaugh? They on a milk carton. You ain't gonna win no chip with that kind of defense. But on the other side, you do have Lamar Jackson, who's got a chance to get another league MVP, and Derrick Henry, who's running like the second coming of Earl Campbell. It was a wild, crazy game of 2 fun, explosive teams with no defense. Neither one of you Super Bowl worthy. But you were a fun game, and for a Thursday night, that's got to count for something. A 1-point game. Cincinnati tried to go for 2, didn't get it. That was a crazy game. And so Baltimore is a stat padding machine just like Cincinnati. And Cincinnati talk too much trash. They need to stop with that garbage, really. Y'all need to play football and stop running your mouth. Let's get to the game in Germany with the 2 teams that you could keep over there. You can keep them across the pond. I don't think nobody, unless they fans, nobody care. The Giants and Carolina. Somebody had to win. Carolina won this game. Oh, Bryce came through. Yeah. Oh, God. Talk about 2 ugly underachieved. Daniel Jones sucks no matter what country, what planet, wherever you put him, he gonna throw a pick and don't turn the ball over. Just brutal. So, wow, this is what happens. The helpless teams. But Carolina been playing okay lately. They got a chance to get that 5 wins. They might get 5 or 6 wins. They should have a 1 block parade if they do. Toilet paper, half a confetti. As for the Giants, new coach, new quarterback. How's Saquon Barkley leaving looking right about now? Next game, Chicago, New England. That one tip and that one antics and taunting, and the Bears' offense has not been the same since that game in D.C. 2 weeks ago. 3 straight losses. And the last 2 games, they can't even crack 10 points. They got waxed by Arizona. What you expect? But you don't expect New England. And Drake May looks pretty good, even though he's still very much a rook. And he's very much right now in the second tier mode, what you call a triple cheese version, Junior Whopper of Tom Brady. But I can see something there in the future, but they need some work. But yeah, they beat Chicago, and Chicago, the Bears are reeling. They might not come. Caleb Williams thought he was going to be all smug, told his punter, you got the year off. It's all smug, right? That 1 loss in D.C., you might not win. It's going to be tough for you to even stay 500, let alone. You can see the rookie wears and the tears. And they, just like what Justin Fields went through, and your Chicago Bears quarterback, welcome to the NFL, rook. The 49ers beat Tampa Bay. Was a dogfight game. Brock Purdy actually probably played one of his first signature games of his career. He looked very good. He brought them back. But that Poochie that they got kicking extra field goals for them, that turkey, they should, if they don't win that game, make his butt walk back to the Bay. They won that by the chin. Because Kyle Shenanigans always doing the most, keeping you you guys to finish teams off. And you know Faker Mayfield going to throw a pick or 2. You know how this story's going to end. Because Tampa Bay ain't a bad team if they led with the right quarterback. But they got all the makings of a 500 team at best. And stat padding and not quite utilizing, Tampa Bay is coming up short. And you know what? It's to be expected. The next game is Kansas City, Denver. Then Kansas City is now 9-0. But let's keep it 100. Kansas City is like, I call Patrick Mahomes the magician, but this team is a magician. Talk about pulling a rabbit out the hat, blocking that field goal at the end. But they tighten up on defense in the second half. Bo Nixon looked pretty good in spots. But you know Mahomes, they're going to find a way. They just couldn't get the ball in the end zone. That's the only reason why this game was close. Couple of miscues that made the game closer. But typical Kansas City fashion. They find a rabbit's hat no matter what. I used to say this about Kansas City back. I want to say when Elvis Gerback was their quarterback, or they had this miracle and Arrowhead of always coming up with some miracles. Well, they're doing it already. But see, that's the mark of teams that usually can win. They're 9-0, and it's not by accident. And Denver is just part of the growing pains. A couple years from now, if you get good with Sean Payton, you'll be better, but just not there yet. Kansas City always find a way to win. That's just what the good teams do. They find a way, no matter what. Buffalo beat India. I was very excited about that. Now, they look bad. Josh Allen threw a couple bad picks. Keep James Cook running. Stop trying to be cute and dice the ball. And Joe Flacco, as I told you before, if it's September, October, or late December to January, he's MVP. He looks Hall of Fame. He looks great. Anything in between, he's Joe Flacco. He was throwing picks. He looked bad. And Jonathan Taylor, that's a bad man. Were it not for Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, he might be the baddest running back in the NFL going because he put it on us. And that's a cause of concern if you're a Bills fan. That game was sloppy and ugly. Very fortunate that the Colts didn't have a proper offensive quarterback. Because if Anthony Richardson ever wakes up and gets to work on time, Joe Flacco might be on the sidelines holding the clipboard or being his duties like he's supposed to. They weren't banking on somebody saying, oh, it's too hard, I want to go back. That's how everybody picks on this generation of work ethic, and that shows. Because the Colts aren't super bad, but they're just not that good. But you can't have no quarterback saying he can't play because he's tired. But it was enough for the Bills to get that pick six early and finish them off. But this game was sloppy. Very fortunate. Arguably, the game of the day was Washington-Pittsburgh. And Daniels for Jaden looking for Washington, and Russell Wilson, the comeback story. Russell Wilson, first name Russell, last name Wilson. And he's a comeback kid. Pittsburgh won the game. Didn't look like it was, but they did enough to pull it out. And they got physical at the right time. Mike Tomlin can coach straight up. Got them 2 different quarterbacks. You're winning. You're doing things. Pulling out games. This was not easy. For Washington, it's part of the growing pains. They're still a young team, and it shows. Sometimes you can see with Jaden Daniels, they still a young, poised team, but don't sleep on them. They still a threat. It's just that you got to finish up games. This game, the way they lost this game was almost identical to the way they lost that game a few weeks ago against Baltimore. They got physical, and it's enough to stay in there, but you got to know how to finish up. The way they lost to Baltimore, the same way they lost to Pittsburgh. That'll be the blueprint. How Snyder, if Washington comes up short, there is definitely identical there. The game nobody cared about, and just putrid quarterbacks. But Minnesota is doing a good team. But Sam Darnold was his old Sam Darnold self, throwing picks all over the field. And Mac and Cheese Jones for Jacksonville. So you knew this was going to be a pigs, oink, oink, and just dirt in the ground. And no accuracy, no passing high ratings. One of the most dullest games. Somebody won it. Minnesota did. They've got 2 losses, but with Sam Darnold, the Sam Darnold, like Cinderella, the shoe tighten up, and 12 midnight is striking, and he not walking the same, and it ain't shining the shame. They're got a good enough team to beat some screw-up teams, but Minnesota, could you be, dare I say, kind of fraudulent? Because no one's buying your quarterback. And beating Mac and Cheese Jones just doesn't count. Even though the uniforms was tight, Jacksonville is Jacksonville. They're putrid. Doug Peterson's got to be gone. And when you're stuck between Trevor Lawrence, who's fallen off, and he hasn't really started, and you're stuck with Mac and Cheese Jones, you have no quarterbacks. Maybe you get Mark Brunell out the retirement home. I don't know. Or, I'm trying to think right now. I can't think right now. But let's just say you're in a lot of trouble. David Gerard, yeah. Find somebody from back in the day. Had those old memories and highlights. New Orleans beat Atlanta. This was interesting. I heard that they had prayed to the Pope. It was crazy. Guess it was answered. Derek Carr. Isn't it amazing how he looks like the 20 to the 26th best quarterback, and most times he's like first or sixth. He reverted back to the way he was 8 weeks ago, except it's a little bit too late. Marquise hitting those touchdown passes, Alvin Kamara, but they had to hang on. Kirk Cousins was doing Kirk Cousins things. The division nobody cares about. Somebody had to win the game. Don't let New Orleans go on a 4 or 5 game win streak and Atlanta lose 2 or 3, because anybody may come out that division. But the thing is, and no Poochie for Atlanta, that kicker, he was shanking and kicking all over the field. Embarrassing. Got to win these kind of games. Can't give nobody no hope. The LA Chargers beat Tennessee. Justin Herbert. They got some people thinking the Chargers on the come up. You ain't beat nobody last 2 weeks. Stop getting excited about being garbage teams. You're supposed to do what you're supposed to do. We know the story with Tennessee. They always start off the first 7, just like the Raiders. They're good for the first 7 to 10 points, and then they give up the next 30 to 40. It's like clockwork. No surprise there. Chargers are okay, but let's not get ridiculous. Oh, buddy, Arizona spanked the Jets. And I'm telling you, Kyler Murray, a lot of people ain't giving Kyler Murray his due. He's balling. If he was with a team that was a bit more coherent, I'd say watch out. Why the Jets didn't try to go get Kyler Murray? Why these teams didn't go after Kyler Murray that need a quarterback? Especially if you were kind of okay. Could you imagine Kyler Murray with Cleveland or with the Jets? Team that needs one? Instead of stuck with that old man Aaron Rodgers who is past the pull date. Devontae Adams was crying to get there. Their defense sucks. They can't stop a cold day quill or night quill or in between quill or a quilt with the heat on and the heater on and the windows locked and a darkened room. They still gonna find a way to catch a cold. They suck. And they're embarrassing. And Robert Sula somewhere, if he's in Cancun or wherever he's at, bless his soul, he is roasting and feeling good, counting his money, patting his bald head, and thinking, I didn't have to go there. Y'all can have Aaron. I'm going to quote Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to relax. The Jets is whack. Arizona's a dangerous team because I got a funny feeling that's a team you don't want to have to deal with if they get it together. Philly beat Dallas. Well, see, Stephen A. Smith like to do that ha. There's nothing to laugh about. They suck. They're done. They cashed out. Remember the Cooper Rush fan club? Oh, he's just more accurate. Where you at, Skip Bayless? How that look yesterday? That game was brutal. The Eagles, Saquon Barkley was juking and shaking and baking, and Jalen Hurts was moving, doing what they wanted to do on Dallas. That stadium was used as a playpen. That wasn't even a game. That was just an exhibition game of just put your 30-plus complimentary points, get your 100-plus yards, hold the Cowboys under 10, let the field goal kicker, who's their only MVP, say they're behind, and get another beat down as usual in Jerry World. That's how it comes down to, because now we do the math. They ain't gotten waxed by at least 20-plus points. Oh, yesterday and against New Orleans, and who else waxed that butt there? Baltimore didn't get the full wax, and in Detroit. That team just opened up, almost putting up a 40 burger on them. That's all. If you come there, you expect to score 35 to 40 points, 100-plus run. Everybody run wild. Everybody, they stopped them. They have no running game, and they are embarrassing. And they even there was a Trey Lance site, and they got him off the milk carton. The Cowboy fans, why are you even going there? Unless you just want to see your face on TV and you want to take some photos, or you're not going to, you already know. This 3-6, you can't wait for this season to end. You were hoping that they will actually forfeit the next 5 or 6 games. Because unlike Mike McCarthy, you said 12-5, unless you go on some crazy miracle and can win 8 games in a row, you can't even win 8 quarters. You can't even win a quarter. Good luck with that. New coach, maybe a new quarterback, maybe Jerry Jones will go to the retirement home, and maybe they'll just stop the facade. Because the only stars that they're seeing is around their head because they're getting dinged. That's all. They are bad and embarrassing. And unless you're a Cowboys fan, stick to old highlights. You don't want to see this mess. This wasn't even that bad during the Jason Garrett era. I know Happy Clappy. They were a lot credible with Jason Garrett. Let that sink in. That's how pathetic and embarrassing Mike McCarthy with his ring and his expertise. Yes. Meathead is done. Served and filleted. And the last game was Houston-Detroit. Detroit, who I say is the best team in the NFC, looked horrible last night. CJ Stroud, Houston got a problem. I'm holding this on the coach. You cannot possibly get 5 turnovers off a quarterback. 5. And 3 of them were on him. 2 of them were on him at least. Jerry Goff looked like old Jerry Goff, like the genie medicine wore off. You cannot lose that game by no 3 points if you're Houston. You had access. You were killing them on both sides of the rock. That shows inexperience. That shows a lack of depth to detail. That's poor coaching. And CJ Stroud, y'all, because I saw this in the Buffalo game. You won that game, but you almost blew it. You have a tendency to play good for a half and don't put your foot on the gas and finish. This was a classic example. That was embarrassing. Some people think it was rigged. They were talking about this and that. But I have seen Houston have this tendency to play half football and then kind of look lethargic. So that was a bad, embarrassing loss. And like Caleb Williams, you might not recover from a game like this because that's a game at home with them tight red uniforms that you blew. Detroit finishing up like that should be counting their lucky stars. But I'm also not sold because I think they could be in for a rude awakening by somebody they didn't see that could put it. Because Jared Goff definitely looked back like his old self again. It's a win, but both teams look suspect and shaky. I think it'll hurt Houston until they get some more. CJ Strauss, he'll look back on it and say, I should have put that game away. They should have put that game away. That was bad coaching. And as for Detroit, you might get away with one of those. You're not going to get away with a lot of them because the right team that seals up on Jared Goff, that's a beatdown. But anyway, that's so far week 10. And like I said, I'll cover that other game. You know, the Rams should win, but if they don't win, you know, I don't expect much because the Rams are more on the upside, but Miami, we'll see. I'll cover it though. But anyway, tell me what you think. Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another and share the video if you like. Hit the subscription. Hit that membership. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. And also, how did your team do week 10? We'll talk more. I'm out. Peace.